What if the next time you go to groceries just to realize the store is completely gone and no one even tells you why?
It's part of the American dream, owning a home. But it looks like things are about to get more expensive.
America. What used to be a nation of cheap essentials and daily convenience is slowly dissolving into frustration, fear, and distance. Walmart is leaving. CVS is cutting stores. Even Apple is downsizing. Something deeper is breaking. Without headlines. Without warning.
It's the small ways we can protest as consumers. A lot of people are trying to express their anger, their feeling of betrayal by the United States.
And maybe you felt it too, in cities like Seattle, New York, and Detroit. It's no longer about high prices. It's about empty shelves, even if you have money. It's harder to buy food, medicine, diapers, or batteries. And for millions, it's devastating. A corner store that suddenly never reopened. A pharmacy that vanished without explanation. Where there were once 3 grocery stores in a neighborhood, now there are none. In this video, we'll uncover the 10 U.S. states where the retail collapse is no longer a theory. If you've ever thought this won't affect me, now might be the time to check your nearest shopping center. Before the lights go out there too. This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Number 1. California. What if the richest state in America can no longer guarantee its people a place to buy even just a simple loaf of bread? In 2025, that question is no longer hypothetical in California. Across Fresno, Riverside, Bakersfield, and dozens of inland towns, grocery stores are vanishing from neighborhoods where they once stood like lighthouses of daily life. What used to be a 2-block errand has turned into a 40-minute drive, if you have a car. According to the UC Berkeley Food Institute, California lost over 1 in 500 grocery outlets in just 2024. At the same time, food prices surged 9.1%. But it's not just numbers, it's who gets left behind. Retailers are quietly retreating from rural, low-income, and suburban zones. Their reasons are practical: rising rents, higher wages, shrinking margins. They're not malicious, but they are disappearing. And when the stores disappear, so does the rhythm of life for millions of people. Seniors without a license now depend entirely on relatives for basic errands. Parents working 2 jobs have no time to drive 20 miles just for groceries. School districts report growing strain on their free lunch programs, which now serve as the primary source of fresh food for thousands of children. In some counties, a gallon of milk now costs more than a fast food meal. For many families, the weekly question is no longer what's for dinner, but where can we even buy dinner?
Tough times are coming, whether you like it or not. Unfortunately, things are going to get a little tougher. Prices are going up. It's already happening.
What's happening in California is not isolated. It's a blueprint of a deeper unraveling when infrastructure fades without fanfare. When the corner store quietly goes dark and no one comes to replace it. That is how collapse begins, not with panic, but with absence. If even the most prosperous state begins shedding its most basic survival points, then perhaps it's time to stop asking when the crisis will come, and start noticing that it already has. Number 2, New York. If even New York can't keep its grocery stores open, what's left standing in the rest of America and Queens today? It's not the crowds that surprise you. It's the silence. The stretch of blocks once lit with buzzing signs, deli windows, and pharmacy lights now flickers with a different glow. Dozens of for-lease signs, pasted behind dusty glass. They outnumber the open stores. The corner CVS is gone. The Walgreens where people pick up prescriptions is boarded up. Even Macy's in downtown Brooklyn, a holiday staple for generations, has downsized and gone dark. It didn't happen with headlines or protests. It happened like a slow fade, one temporarily closed sign at a time. In 2023 alone, nearly 1,000 retail locations across New York closed their doors for good. Rent for commercial space has surged by 11% in a single year, in the same time frame. The unemployment rate in the retail sector climbed to 7.5%, its highest since the pandemic. And the places disappearing weren't just brands. They were routines and lifelines. What replaces them for some? Online shopping, but only for those who can navigate it, for thousands of older New Yorkers, for families without broadband, or for immigrants more fluent in a second language than in search bars. This shift doesn't bring efficiency, it brings exclusion.
It's going to affect everybody's lives, and everything is increasing, has been, and continue to goes up.
People now travel farther for essentials. In the Bronx, grocery trips stretch across multiple subway lines. In Staten Island, neighborhoods that once had 2 or 3 grocery stores within walking distance now rely on discount chains or corner marts with inflated prices and expired produce. Seniors who used to walk to pick up fresh milk or medicine now wait in the cold for a bus, or go without entirely. It ripples inward too. Parents share dinner portions more sparingly. Some eat less so their children can eat more. Processed food replaces vegetables. And when the next morning comes, it's not just hunger, it's fatigue, it's anxiety. It's wondering how long this can go on before something gives. And as the last familiar storefronts vanish, so does something more invisible, the community fabric, without shared spaces. People stop recognizing each other, without routine. Even the smallest comfort, like a nod from the cashier or a familiar smell of bread, disappears. New York was once the blueprint for access. Now, it's a warning. And the scariest part, it didn't fall overnight. It faded, block by block, with barely a sound. Number 3, Texas. What happens when even the most proud Texas residents can't keep standing chin up anymore? Texas was once the state where doing for yourself wasn't just pride, it was a way of life. People fixed their own roofs, grew their own tomatoes, and drove themselves to the store, no matter what. But now, in the outer neighborhoods of Houston, that way of life is cracking. Not in a loud crash, but with a quiet, stubborn erosion. In 2024 alone, more than 300 major retailers closed their doors across the state. Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens all pulled out of working-class zip codes where profit margins were too thin for corporate patients, for families without cars. This isn't just inconvenient, it's immobilizing. Suddenly, the nearest bag of rice or jug of milk isn't at the corner, but 10, 15, even 20 miles away. If you're in your old age, if your license is expired, and if the neighbor's truck is in the shop, that distance may as well be forever. And the closures don't stop with the big chains. The little shops, the dry cleaner next door, the tamale stand out front, the barber shop 2 doors down, start to fade too, drain to foot traffic, jobs dry up, bus routes get cut, people leave. And the homes they leave behind slowly lose their light. What was once a steady, working neighborhood now whispers with vacancy and worry.
Because right now, I don't think this is a country that I want to leave to my grandchildren or the future children of this country.
At the center of it all, the people left behind begin to stretch themselves thinner than ever. Parents ration dinners. Older folks make a list of things they might do without. A box of medicine, a bunch of fruit. They all come second to gas money or rent. Some go hungry, some go silent. Texas once symbolized resilience. But no matter how tough you are, you can't walk 14 miles in July heat for a carton of eggs. Not every fight is won with grit. Some need infrastructure, and if this is happening here, in the land of strongbacks, big trucks, and bigger dreams, then it's not a fluke. It's a forecast, and it's quietly rewriting what it means to live free. Number 4, Mississippi. What happens when even buying a bag of rice becomes a financial decision in Mississippi? Across long stretches of rural road, the lights are still on, but behind locked doors. The last local grocery stores didn't disappear overnight. They vanished one by one, quietly, until all that remained was the gas station at the edge of town. That's now the only place to buy a gallon of milk, and it costs almost twice as much as it did a year ago. More than 700 food retailers have shut down across the state in just the past 18 months. In some counties, not a single full-service grocery remains. According to state records, 40% of rural counties in Mississippi no longer have a single proper grocery store. What's left are convenience stores never designed to carry a community. They offer chips and energy drinks, but not affordable produce, formula, or fresh meat. And the burden it lands squarely on those with the least power to move elsewhere, This isn't just a shift in consumer behavior, it's the slow drain of lifeblood from rural communities that were already running on fumes. Public policy has looked the other way. No incentive to stay, no reason for chains to return. Infrastructure remains weak. Broadband is spotty. And with the young leaving in droves, no one is arriving to replace them. So what happens now? Older residents on fixed incomes are eating less, paying more, and driving further just to buy medicine and groceries. Mothers skip meals to make sure their kids eat first. Children are starting each day with meals packed with preservatives, because ultra-processed food is all that's left in reach. This isn't just economic hardship, but emotional erosion. People wake up in the same town they were born in, but it no longer feels like home. Because when even basic access to food disappears, what's left is a hollow kind of waiting, or waiting for the next truck, waiting for someone to remember them, waiting for something to change. And if this is what it looks like when the system hasn't fully collapsed, what will it look like when it does? Number 5, Illinois. What do you do when your neighborhood still has people but no place left to feed them in South Chicago? The streets still echo with footsteps, but they no longer lead to the stores they once did. Not long ago, 3 full-service grocery stores stood within a mile. Today, only a single convenience store remains. It doesn't sell fresh vegetables, it doesn't carry meat, but it does sell boxed macaroni for double the price. And behind glass-locked cases, Illinois has lost more than 600 grocery and retail outlets from 2022 to 2024. This isn't happening in rural pockets or forgotten corners. It's happening in the heart of working-class neighborhoods. These are places where families have lived for generations, where the local grocer once knew your name, but now chains have pulled out, calling these areas low margin. The people left behind are expected to adjust. In counties like Cook, fresh food prices have jumped nearly 10% in a single year. Rent for commercial space is up 9.6%, pushing smaller operators out completely. National retailers chase tax breaks in southern states. Local politicians fail to replace what's lost, and the communities they're left with shuttered storefronts, jobless residents, and no voice in what's happening to them. This erosion doesn't just happen on paper. Elderly residents who once walked to buy milk now rely on borrowed rides, or go without. Parents drive 2 towns over for fresh groceries after long shifts, often skipping meals themselves. Children come to school hungry, not because food is gone, but because access to it has been stripped away. These weren't just stores. They were economic engines, training grounds, places of joy and hope. High schoolers got their first paychecks here. Seniors supplemented retirement here. Single moms balanced groceries and part-time shifts here. But when every one of those lights goes dark, something more than commerce disappears, and if even Illinois, the blueprint of Midwestern resilience, once filled with local pride and labor-powered progress, also can't protect access to food in its own backyard. What hope is there for the next generation to find their first job, or even their next meal? Number 6, Pennsylvania. What happens when a town loses its last grocery store and no one even notices in Reading and Allentown? Streets that once buzzed with the rhythm of community life now echo with silence. Supermarkets that anchored entire neighborhoods have been replaced by shuttered pharmacy buildings or empty storefronts bearing faded for lease signs. The change isn't loud, but it's absolute. Across Pennsylvania, more than 700 grocery and retail food stores have closed in just the last 2 years. These closures have hit hardest in towns like Erie. Scranton and Altoona, once strong industrial communities now quietly unraveling. According to Feeding Pennsylvania, 1 in every 6 households across the state is currently struggling to access food, and the root cause isn't simply a changing market, it's an unspoken abandonment. Large retailers are pulling out of aging communities where populations are shrinking and income levels are flat. Investment now flows to states and regions where spending happens faster. Pennsylvania, with its aging residents, departing youth, and underfunded public transit, has slipped off the map. For older workers nearing retirement, moving isn't an option. Many remain in homes they've lived in for decades, even as the towns around them hollow out. When the last grocery store disappears, it's not just the produce that vanishes, it's the place where people used to say hello, check in, share weather updates, or just feel human. Single parents are now making impossible choices. buy enough groceries for the week, or pay the utility bill. Children in some districts eat dry cereal without milk. Frozen meals pass for dinner, and as community fades, so does the courage to ask for help because the person you might have asked is gone. 2. What's most chilling is the silence. When the last store in Erie closes its doors, no reporters come, no hearings are held. It just happens. And it leaves behind something heavier than hunger, the quiet knowledge that your town no longer matters on the national map. So if this is what collapse looks like in Pennsylvania, a state built on steel, coal, and community, what's happening in places with even fewer resources. Number 7, Michigan. The store is gone, but the hunger always stays. In Michigan's industrial towns, the shelves aren't just empty, they're vanishing altogether. In Flint, there used to be 3 major supermarkets within 5 miles. Today, only one remains. It's not near a bus stop. It doesn't have sidewalks leading to it. And for the thousands who no longer drive, it might as well be on the moon. Since 2022, over 35% of grocery stores in cities like Detroit, Flint, and Grand Rapids have shut down. More than 1 in 5 Michiganders now live in areas officially labeled food deserts, but maps don't capture the dread in a retiree's voice when he says he hasn't had a fresh vegetable in 2 weeks. They don't show the worn shoes of someone who walked an hour for powdered milk. Inflation in Michigan has surged to 9.4%, pushing basic food items beyond reach. National chains are pulling out of so-called unprofitable zones, leaving behind the very communities that once powered America's auto boom. The state's policies to attract retail back too little, too late. The buses don't run far enough, the sidewalks don't exist, the options don't either, and the consequences are brutal. Low-income seniors wait for church volunteers just to buy eggs. Single parents skip meals to keep their children fed. Children grow up thinking bananas only come from gas stations, and that milk must be shelf-stable to be affordable. Retail collapse here isn't just economic, it's emotional erosion. People are losing more than food. They're losing the ability to live without asking for help. Michigan was once the symbol of American self-reliance. But if even this state built by labor, by grit, by families can no longer feed its people, then how long before entire communities quietly slip out of sight? Too far from the store, too far from the map, too far from help. Number 8, Georgia. Entire state is running out of places to eat, but not out of people who are still hungry. In Macon, an entire county once had 2 Walmarts and a Kroger. Today, there's nothing left within 10 miles. Not a supermarket, not a pharmacy, not even a store that sells fresh produce. For thousands of families, every meal now begins with a calculation: who can afford gas, who can watch the kids, who can go without. In the last 3 years, Georgia has lost more than 600 food retailers. That's not just shrinkage, it's collapse. Entire counties are now labeled complete retail voids, a bureaucratic way of saying there's nothing left to buy. No groceries, no diapers, no medicine, just shelf-stable snacks from gas stations. Or overcooked meals from strip mall pizza joints. For those living in these places, it doesn't feel like policy failure, it feels like punishment. Food insecurity in Georgia has jumped to 18%, higher than the national average. But the deeper cause isn't just price, it's neglect. Retail giants concentrate around Atlanta's wealthier corridors. Rural towns, small suburbs, and working-class neighborhoods are abandoned quietly, left to wither without warning or apology. Meanwhile, delivery systems don't reach, buses don't run, and income hasn't budged, and the people left behind grandparents raise their grandkids on canned ravioli because there's no store nearby with vegetables. Single moms ration cereal because that's easier than explaining to a child why dinner's not coming. Kids gain weight but lack nutrition because vending machine calories are cheap, but vitamins are not. Georgia was once the heart of Southern resilience. But what happens when the resilience wears thin, when the only thing left to ration is hope? If even Georgia brimming with culture, commerce, and pride can't guarantee a bag of groceries within reach, then what kind of future are we handing down, and who will be strong enough to carry it? Number 9, Nevada. You can gamble at 3 a.m. in Nevada, but try finding a carton of milk for your family at that hour. In Las Vegas, the casino floors glow through the night, slot machines singing under ceilingless skies. But just beyond the Strip, a hotel cleaner finishes her shift and steps into silence. The corner store she once relied on is gone. The nearest open shop, a 40-minute walk each way, and the fridge at home holds nothing but half a lemon and 2 packets of mustard. Since late 2022, Nevada has lost more than 400 food and drug retailers. That's not just a business statistic, it's a shift in daily survival. In Las Vegas alone, 25% of all retail space is now vacant or unleased. The glittering skyline masks a growing void. Behind every marquee sign is a darkened store that never reopened. The most ironic part, that you can buy poker chips, alcohol, and cigarettes around the clock, but not a loaf of bread or a head of lettuce. The reasons echo across working-class neighborhoods. Rent and energy costs have skyrocketed. Retailers have withdrawn from lower income zones to concentrate on profitable, tourist-heavy districts. Delivery systems are optimized for hotels, not homes. And so food deserts appear not in farmland, but in the shadow of casinos. The burden lands hardest on the people who make the city function. Workers getting off shifts at 2 a.m. find nothing but closed doors. Those without cars, seniors, people with disabilities, new immigrants face unwalkable routes just to get a bag of rice. Women raising children alone are the first to feel the pinch, scraping together processed meals from overpriced convenience stores. In a city famed for abundance, many live on the edge of hunger quietly, invisibly. And while the state's economy boasts billions from tourism and gaming, the people who clean the rooms, refill the drinks, and fold the laundry are left to navigate empty shelves. For them, the Strip isn't a playground. It's a perimeter of access, of care, of what society chooses to value. If Nevada can pour endless electricity into its entertainment empire, but can't keep a single grocery store open for the woman who keeps the sheets clean, what kind of balance have we built, and how long before even those who stay silent start to walk away? Number 10, Ohio. In parts of Ohio, the closest thing to a grocery store is a liquor shop, and the only fresh item is a pizza topping. There was a time when working-class families in Ohio lived just minutes from a supermarket, but in neighborhoods like those in Youngstown, that time has quietly passed. Step outside today and the streets feel like echoes. The local Walmart is gone. So are CVS and Walgreens. What's left a liquor store, a smoke shop, and a pizza place that opens late but sells no milk, no medicine, no basics. The nearest grocery store 15 miles away, no bus route, no sidewalk, and for many, no car. Since 2023, major chains have pulled out of Ohio communities they call underperforming. Walmart, CVS, Walgreens retailers that once anchored neighborhoods have shuttered locations across counties like Mahoning and Columbiana. These areas are now classified as chronic food deserts, but a label doesn't capture the reality. That reality is an elderly woman eating crackers 3 nights in a row, a father skipping lunch so his child can have dinner, a teenager growing up never seeing a fresh apple that wasn't wrapped in plastic or soaked in syrup. Food prices across Ohio continue to rise, but household incomes have barely moved in 3 years. Investment is pouring into Columbus and Cleveland's tech corridors, but rural towns and aging suburbs are left to deteriorate. There's no funding to revive local markets, no new ideas to bring services back, and no public transportation to connect isolated residents to the stores that still exist miles away. The consequences seep into every aspect of life. Seniors lose their independence because they can't grocery shop without help. Families begin relying on processed food out of necessity, not choice, leading to a rise in chronic illness, especially among children. Neighbors who used to chat in checkout lines now pass each other in silence, if at all. The disappearance of retail isn't just economic, it's social. These stores were the glue. When they vanish, so does the rhythm of daily life. If Ohio, once the pulse of America's middle class, can no longer guarantee a place to buy bread, what does that mean for the towns even further behind on the map? And when those who built the engine of the country are quietly left to starve, who will step in before the silence becomes permanent? This isn't just about groceries. It's about losing the last thread that held many American lives together. When a store closes, it's not just shelves that empty, it's routines, security, and dignity that vanish with it if the richest states can't protect access to food. What chance do the rest have across towns and counties? People are quietly struggling, silently adapting, painfully enduring. But silence isn't safety, and forgetting isn't healing. So look around your neighborhood. What's still standing and what's already gone without anyone noticing?